What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mean Streets here at FTN. Chris Meaney with you as you bring in our NBA expert, Noops Christenson at _Noops. Of course, he is the man behind hoops with Noops. And also, you can check out all the game articles over at FTN Fantasy. That's right, one website now, ftnfantasy.com. You can also catch him doing some live NBA analysis and takes and kind of some play-by-play stuff over at Playback. Super fun to watch you over the past couple of weeks as we get into the NBA playoffs. We are going to preview Milwaukee and Indy here. I think what could be a high-scoring, highly entertaining series between these two teams. As you see, the Bucks is the 3 seed at 49 and 33. This is a pick 'em. According to the DraftKings, minus 110. You know, you can shop around, use the prop shop, get the free tools, and get the best possible number out there. Follow Noops. Indiana as the 6th seed, 47 and 35, minus 110. Of course, the biggest thing to talk about right off the top is the status of Giannis. The Bucks, last I saw, Noops preparing to be without him for the beginning of the series. And Milwaukee is just a fascinating team to watch. And maybe that's the wrong word to say, because the start of the season, you know, when they got Dame, it's like, okay, here we go. Bucks, Dame, everyone's excited. They fire their coach early. They bring in Doc. Doc can't seem to turn this thing around. They can't play any defense. Now Giannis is out. Do we see Dame time? Like, because Giannis is out, is he just going to be able to take over? And on the other side, Indiana, I feel like they play to a fast pace, score a lot of points, struggle as well defensively. And, you know, they were aggressive getting Pascal Siakam as well. Had to deal with Halliburton with an injury that kept him sidelined for a bit. So when you look at this matchup, how do you break this thing down? Which way are you leaning here?
Yeah, I think fascinating is a nice way to describe the Bucks season. It's so strange for a team to win this many games and to have it be disappointing, but it's just
Right.
never felt right. And you got to start with Giannis, right? Looks like he's going to be out for the first game, probably out for the second game, at least not 100% if he comes back by then. And the longer they go, the much less of a chance Milwaukee has here. You look at the roster top to bottom. Without Giannis, they're a worse team than Indiana. And we know what Glenn Rivers has done in the past with good teams, let alone ones without their star players here. So it's going to be really tough. Indiana, again, a really rough matchup. They were 4-1 against the Bucks this season. I played a little differently. I think it's been maybe a little underreported, a little under-discussed. Tyrese Halliburton is not 100%. Has been kind of trying to play through a hamstring injury that probably needs some treatment this summer. Has not looked like himself, but Siakam has been fantastic. Fits perfectly next to Miles Turner, can be a small ball center. And the big change for Indiana, yes, one of the worst defenses if you look full season, but if you go back since the All-Star break, they're about middle of the league. And I know that's not great, but that's good enough for that offense to get them a lot of wins. So I grabbed Indiana early. I was surprised that the price opened where it did. Milwaukee was a pretty solid favorite. Minus 200 or deeper at first. I guess people thought Giannis was going to play, and you can see it's moved all the way down here to pick. And I still think there is some value in Indiana. As long as Giannis doesn't play those first two games, the Pacers are going to have a huge advantage. They could win this series in 5.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, to take them on the series spread, just 1.5, you're going to get plus 135 there. And you get some pretty good odds if you want to take them to win the series, like minus 2.5 for the Pacers. Where is this? Is plus 300. Plus 300 over at DraftKings. So you think the series is going to be over pretty quickly? I mean, and it's if Giannis was playing and Giannis was ready to go, would you still lean Indy? Because I feel like I would.
It would be tough at that point, but again, the price would move in a way where I think I'd still be on
Sure.
Indiana. Again, thinking about those prices, minus 1.5 plus money, that's really nice. It's one of my favorite angles. Underdogs host games 3, 4, and 6. So generally you see a lot of underdogs close out in game 6. It's tough to lose that game 6 and then go back to Milwaukee or go on the road there to try to win game 7. So I like that angle on Indiana. I would play that minus 1.5, maybe sprinkle a little bit on that minus 2.5. But then again, you got to keep an eye on Giannis. If he comes back, I'll maybe wait a game, see how he looks. But if he can come back and be even mildly impactful in that first game, then you start to think about maybe using some of the equity you've built on Indiana at this point and maybe just covering your stake. But I think it's Indiana or pass, but I'll start to reevaluate my position, like you said, if Giannis comes back and looks like he can play.
Yeah, DraftKings has these specials in terms of who's going to lead the series in points, assists, rebounds. There's nothing on this game, of course, and I feel like that's because of Giannis. We weren't able to break down the Mavericks and the Clippers props because of the status of Kawhi, although they are prepping for him to be ready to go for game one, even though he's yet to be cleared for some 5-on-5 contact drills, but I do expect him to play. Same sort of deal here. Nothing here, but is there like if we can we think forward here? We expect Giannis maybe to be ruled out of game one, not going to play in game one, and then these props will come out. Is it Dame? Is there an X factor in this series? Is somebody that you feel like from a DFS standpoint or a props guy that you're, in the prop market, you're going to be after from a day-to-day basis? Like, I feel like Dame is going to be like Portland Dame. Like, he's just going to try to take over these games. And I would say that for me personally, that would be my pick to lead the series in points. But you are the NBA expert here. Who do you think somebody should go after once these markets are available, once we hear about Giannis?
Yeah, I think the market will agree with you. Dame Lillard will almost certainly be the favorite for that. Maybe Tyrese Halliburton a little bit closer there. As you try to go further down the board, because that's what you have to do in these. There's the potential for a really short sample size. If you're talking about a 4 or 5 game series, that's not a lot of games. Even 6, 7.
Yeah.
You have a chance for something kind of goofy to happen. One of my favorite versions of this, Jamal Murray had the most assists in the NBA Finals last year, not Nikola Jokic. So as you start to look at that, I would start to look. Also, number one, there's some risk in taking Milwaukee Bucks, where you're going to not know when Giannis comes back, and then there's going to be a lot of concerns about that. So if I knew Giannis was going to be out the entire series, I'd be looking at Chris Middleton in these markets, most assists, most points, something like that. But it's just too much risk because as soon as Giannis comes back, everyone's roles changes. So I would look maybe at the Pacers. I think that if there's a market for most rebounds, I think Siakam is going to be a really nice pick there. Most assists, Halliburton will probably be the favorite there, as he should be. But if he is plus 150 something in that range or better, which he might be, I still think that's some value there. He should be a huge favorite in that market. So keep an eye on that. And then from a points perspective, I think you're right. Again, Dame will be good. Then you'll have Halliburton. It's hard to pick a secondary guy on Indiana.
Yeah.
Miles Turner doesn't score that consistently. Neither does Siakam. But again, I look at Siakam rebounds and then in the assist, Halliburton, if he is not a prohibitive favorite, bet him there.